My next guest, oh man, do I love this guy. This guy does an amazing job at what he does. I have nothing but positive things to say about this man. I've been following this guy, and then it's funny, right? You see so many Eagles fans and so many content creators out there doing their thing, but this guy just always stands out. I mean, listen, he's universally known as being the ultimate Eagles super fan. He's a Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holder. You've seen him on local news like CBS 3, Philadelphia, and Fox 29 promoting your Philadelphia Eagles, bringing that passion, bringing that energy, bringing that electricity, right? He's curated so many fan events in the city at places like Live Casino. You've seen him working with Mitchell and Ness, giving back to Eagles fans, giving away free tickets, just keeping the vibe super high in the city. Again, I love his videos on Instagram. They're hilarious. And he just does amazing work. And now I'm so glad he has like a platform to really just speak his piece. And now you can catch him on one of the fastest growing sports platforms known as PHLY via the All City Network. They're growing fast, man. I love what they do. He, along with his guys, Jay Ashworth and Black Gritty, host the Cheap Seats Show. Like he said, either you on board or rather this, either you get on board or you get out of the way. His name is Eric Emmanuel, but you guys know him as E to the R to the O to the C to the K. He's none other than the infamous, the notorious E motherfucking Rock.
What's happening, big dog? How are you, babe? Listen, first and foremost, I got to thank you for having me on. And secondly, thank you for the absolute kind words on the intro, man. That was, I need you as my hype man. When I go to an event or anything like that, I need you coming up as my hype man, brother.
Man, listen, first and foremost, I'm grateful to you for taking the time out. I know I reached out super last minute. It's the playoffs. I know this is a super busy week for you, and your time is super valuable, my guy. I just want to say I'm grateful for you coming on, and I love what you do. Like I said, you're one of the most you're one of the faces of Philadelphia Eagles fandom, right? You're everywhere. I gotta ask you though,
yeah,
where did this begin for you? Like, it seems like it runs so deep in your bloodstream.
Yeah, and back in 2007, I'm from Jersey. I live in Jersey now, but I moved to Philadelphia. Lifelong Eagles grew up at the tailgate, grew up going to games. Earliest memories of being there at Veterans Stadium for the 4th-and-1 game. That's the first like true blue memory that I have regarding attending the games. But in 2007, YouTube was just starting to pop off, and I moved to Philly on this kind of like self-discovery journey, right? I moved to a city where nobody knows who I am and I don't know anybody. And if anybody in life has the opportunity to do so, I would highly recommend it. And while I was there, I don't know, I just came up with the idea of, listen, I love my birds. I love talking about the Eagles. Let me get a camera. And let me get a laptop like you got over there. And let me start just making videos about this team, this team, this game day that I love so much. Because there was an opportunity there. Like once upon a time, if you weren't down at the lots, if you weren't down at the tailgates, if you weren't down at the games, you really didn't know what was going on. Like everyone was watching from home, but if you were watching from home, you didn't get a taste of the authentic game day experience. So I wanted to bring that thing that I loved so much and that what meant so much to me and my family and how we bonded over that. Because that's what Eagles football is, right? It's not just football, it's family. It's a tradition. It's something that's passed down from generation to generation. So in 2007, I started making YouTube videos and just kept hammering away at it. And back then, there was like your social media, Eagles social media menu was like me and 4 other dudes on YouTube. Believe it or not, once upon a time, that was social media. And that turned it from YouTube to another platform and Twitter. And from that came to Instagram. And that's always been like, I'm very humbled by the words that you said in the beginning because you nailed it on the head. I am started this and I continue to do this to bring the authentic game day experience and through spoken word and emotion because we're all emotional fans. Just try to relay the message and just kind of hope it resonates with people. And so far, I think it has. And I'll continue to do this until the day I die, because it's who I am.
I love that, and I relate so much to that, especially the passion part of it, right?
Yeah.
We eat this, we sleep this, we bleed this. This is
Yeah.
the Philadelphia Eagles are embedded in Philadelphia culture. It's not just entertainment for us. It's not just a sport to us, right? It kind of reminds me of, back in the Coliseum days, like people used to go to the Coliseum and just watch the gladiators go. It's so embedded, it's so entrenched in our everyday lives. And Philly is such a blue collar place. It helps the city tick. It stimulates the economy. It's just everything about the Philadelphia Eagles just is Philadelphia, right? And the whole idea of how Philadelphia is perceived nationally, and obviously we had that knucklehead start a ruckus against the Packers fan, things of that nature. We don't condone that at all. But there's this perception, or this misconception about the Eagles fan and how we carry ourselves and how we move as a unit. I want to get your perspective on just how Eagles fans are perceived outside of Philadelphia, especially on the national front.
Well, I've always tried to help change the narrative in the beginning. I should say that in the beginning, I tried to help change the narrative of how a Philadelphia fan was perceived. And many, many, many years ago, I just kind of came to the realization, like, we're not going to change that. Follow me on this one. We're not going to change that. Realistically, we're still answering for what they did in 1968 with snowballs at Santa Claus.
Ridiculous.
So a hater is always going to be a hater. People are always going to come in to Philadelphia, especially now that everyone's got a cell phone camera, and capture. I apologize. Where someone's not acting right. A hater is always going to be a hater. So to me, the changing of how we are perceived as a fan base, listen, we just got to take care of us. That's all that matters. And I can tell you that there has been a giant shift from Veterans Stadium to Lincoln Financial Field to where the Eagles fan base is now. And Philadelphia is a diverse city with different people and different neighborhoods and different cultures, different foods, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. And that's what makes Philly so great, is when you walk in the city, you see those murals up, you see the artistic value, you see the music and the food and the culture and everything. Listen, when we're wearing these colors, we're all unified. When we're saying go Birds, we're all unified. And I promise you, it's not like that in other cities. Like, I spent the majority of my life inside a Veterans Stadium and Lincoln Financial Field in my own protective little cocoon, thinking that, okay, when they say we're the best fan base in the NFL, or we're the most passionate fan, or the most loyal, or the most craziest, yeah, okay, but we're probably tooting our own horn a little bit, because every time an NBA championship happens and they raise that trophy, they say, Milwaukee Bucks, this is for the best fans in the NBA. No, they're not. To raise the Stanley Cup, Tampa Bay Lightning fans, you're the best fans in the. No, they're not. But when I became a little bit more well-traveled about 10 years ago and started visiting cities like Baltimore, Washington, and MetLife Stadium, LA, Tampa, I mean, you name it, I was shocked to realize that, no, this is actually the truth, and we're not just gassing ourselves up, that the Philadelphia Eagles and football in general is so embedded in the culture of this city and unifies us so much. Like, it's not just hyperbole. It's not just, we're not just talking for the sake of hearing ourselves talk. This is the God's honest truth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny, we've adopted the whole adage of no one likes us and we don't care.
Yeah.
Like you said, right? We got to a point where we're done trying to placate to other fan bases or the national media. We are who we are. Yeah. Take us how you receive us, and tuck your feelings. Because at the end of the day, when the bullets start flying, the last man standing will win, right? And before you came on, I was speaking to my supporters here on Chalk It Up Sports. I was just telling people that, listen, we're at this point now where we're likely the least supported, the least liked fan base remaining in the playoffs.
Mhm.
And I think it's about time we start leaning into this villain role or being the heel, because I think people have fatigue when it comes to us. I think people, especially on the national front, they find these very unique ways, or maybe not unique, but they find these very weird ways to pull the carpet from under what we're doing. It seems like there's never enough Jalen Hurts can do. There's never enough that this team can do to prove that they deserve to be in the position that they're in. Right? When you look at this Eagles team, especially the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who's done nothing but keep this team in the playoffs every single year.
Yeah.
When you look at Jalen Hurts and who he's been since being the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, what do you see? How have you evolved as he's evolved as a player?
Yeah, there was a point in time, and let's not revise history. There was a point in time where it was Jalen's first year as a starter and Nick's first year as a coach/play caller. And through the first 8 games of that first year, man, that was some of the worst Eagles football that I ever saw in my life. Like that was some of the most unorganized, unoriginal, and I question whether or not Nick Sirianni was a legitimate NFL head coach. I'm falling on the sword here, man. Like I'm just keeping it real. And there was a point in time where I questioned whether or not Jalen Hurts was NFL caliber quarterback. But just like you said, leaning into the heel role and kind of leaning into that villain role, here's where I'll politely disagree with you there. We don't need to lean into any perception that anybody has of us. All we need to do is take care of us. And if you look at Nick Sirianni, like the football team matches the city, fans match the football team. If you look at Nick Sirianni, yeah, man, that opening press conference, that was rough. Woof, that was rough.
Yeah.
But my man kept at it. My man kept working hard at it. He didn't pay attention to what people said about him. He didn't pay attention to the outside noise. He just kept, and I know it's cliche and it sounds cliche and it is cliche, but it's the God's honest truth. Just kept getting 1% better every day. And if you look at Jalen Hurts, he had the criticism, he had the questions. I questioned him. But my man, that offseason went and got like the best quarterback guru on his own time and on his own dime and put in the work. Because he doesn't have to prove the doubters wrong. He's just got to be the best version of him that's possible. And so he kept evolving and kept working at his craft. And that's what I respect so much about Jalen, because he's a winner. You're either a winner or you're not. And winners know that they're going to fail. Winners know that they're going to fail. And they almost like embrace the fact that they're going to fail, because you can't win unless you fail. You can't get better unless you got to know what you got to work on. You can't get better unless you stumble. Nobody gets it right out of the block. Nobody. But it's the people that have that winner mentality, or as Nick would call it, again, I know it's cheesy and I know it's overplayed, but that dog mentality of saying, yeah, I failed. I take ownership. I'm struggling, but here's what I'm going to do to get better. And what you're seeing in Nick Sirianni and what you're seeing in Jalen Hurts, what you've seen in Howie Roseman and his failures that he made, that dude was locked in a broom closet, by Chip Kelly, but just kept at it. Like when you see this team, you should see a reflection of the city and the fan base that's behind it. Hard-nosed. No one likes us. We don't care. We're going to keep getting better. We're bringing our lunch pail. We're blue collar. We don't pay attention to the noise. We don't pay attention to the haters. We're working on us. We're doing what we can do to make ourselves the best version of ourselves. And that's why I think, despite some hiccups along the season, Nick yelling at the fans or whatever it might be, like, listen, we got their back because we've seen the improvement. We've seen the hard work. We've seen the way this team connects, and we can relate to that.
Yeah, definitely. And going into the playoffs, right? This team coming in, 14-3. They had a 10-game winning streak. Stumbled a little bit against Washington. The Hurts got hurt,
Sure.
and he missed the remainder of the season. He comes into this Packers game, and let's just be honest, he looked like a guy that didn't play football in over a month. But I want to get your thoughts on what you saw from Jalen Hurts. A lot of people have their own perspective and their own perception of what happened, or who they want to point the finger to as to why the offense has had these moments of stagnation. But I want to get your perspective, right? Tell me what you saw from Jalen Hurts and that offense, the coaching staff in general in that game against the Packers.
Listen, we're always going to keep it real, right? Not the best game from Jalen Hurts, and like you mentioned, he looked like a guy that hadn't played football in a month, which is okay. And he looked like a guy that might have been coming off of a concussion, a serious concussion, and that's okay because style points matter. Style points matter in the regular season, right? Because we want to
Mhm.
see this team improve on what they can improve on. We want to see this team grow. We want to see this team get better. We want to see this team do better next week. This is the playoffs. There is no next week. So style points in the postseason go right out the window, right out the window. And it's just about winning. Now, Jalen Hurts could have played a better game. Absolutely. I think that Kellen Moore could have called a better game. I didn't like necessarily the offensive game plan. If you remember when they played the Packers the first time down there in Brazil, I was giddy. I mean, I was giddy because there was
Creativity.
there. You're designing plays you're designing people open. One of the major flaws of the 2023 campaign was that they were it's too simplistic, too long developing a routes, and they were just relying on their playmakers, who are ballers, by the way, to win their matchups and win the route, which they can do. But when you throw the guy a bone, I mean, I can remember Smitty on real quick stop and goes, right? Because Smitty can stop, go, pivot. That dude is efficient and he can cut on a dime, right? AJ on slant routes. 9 times out of 10, AJ's going to win his route. Just chuck him the ball. He's, you know what I mean, quick, and he's going to get that yak. So what I wanted to see from the Eagles coming out of the Packers game or going into the Packers game was an offensive game plan that was going to use high percentage design plays to get guys open, high percentage throws to high percentage guys. And that didn't necessarily come to fruition, but what the Eagles proved to you is if Kellen doesn't have his best game plan, and if Jalen doesn't have his best game, rust, concussion, or otherwise, they can still find a way to win because I got that defense, right? And, special teams came up big, especially on the first opening kickoff. So they're going to find ways to win. I think going into the Rams game, you're going to see a crisper Jalen Hurts. I think you're going to see a better offensive game plan. And I think that time of possession, especially playing the Rams, is going to be critical because where the
That-
Rams are going to hurt you is with points. And if you're able to control that time of possession and dominate that with Dinkin and Duncan and Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard rusher, league's rushing title holder, and should be MVP, right? That should be able to keep the ball away from the most dangerous part of the Rams, which I know they've struggled at times, but Stafford's still a guy you got to be worried about.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get into that Rams matchup with you, but you said something. You said something that reminded me of this thought that I had as it pertains to Hurts in that game and Kellen Moore. And I want to know how you feel about this aspect of it. Obviously the game plan just seemed very against the Packers. That is, it seemed very vanilla, very plain Jane, very reliant on your playmakers, like you said, to get open.
Yeah.
And is it fair to say that because your quarterback missed nearly a month of football, he didn't clear concussion protocol until much later, going into that game or going into preparing for that week? He was limited on Wednesday. Only had 2 full practices. Couldn't really watch film until he cleared phase 2 of the protocol, and we don't know when he cleared it because the Eagles are tight-lipped about that. Is it fair to say that Kellen Moore, Sirianni, Fangio, they went into this game saying, listen, we're not going to be able to devise the most intricate game plan. Let's try to rely on our offensive line, rely on our running game, rely on our defense, and make key passes when we can and trust our playmakers to win their matchup. Is it fair to say that they pretty much delivered or executed a pretty vanilla game plan just to get through that matchup?
I think at this point in the season, listen, if this was week 3 and he was just coming back off of injury, or week 4 or whatever it might be, they might put a vanilla game plan. Like he's had we've been playing football all year. He knows the playbook in and out. So I don't think they, for lack of a better term, dumbed down the playbook for Jalen Hurts in this particular game or kept it simple. I just think that Kellen kind of just didn't have his best game plan, and we came out with the dub. Again, style points don't matter. We came out with the dub, but we know as these games go on and on that that's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially as the competition gets better. I don't think they held back. I think it was just a combination of a lot of things. Jalen being rusty, Jalen coming off of a concussion, and let's give the Packers some credit. I mean, listen,
Absolutely.
we whooped that ass. We whooped that ass. But go back and look at the numbers in the regular season of where their defense ranks, where our defense ranks, where their rush defense, pass defense, boom, boom, almost completely down the line, points per game. I mean, the Packers were right on the heels of the Eagles defense, which is the best defense we've seen since the 90s. I mean, let's be honest here. So the Packers are a good team. Let's not just dismiss the Packers because we whooped that ass. We whooped that ass because we're that good. But the Packers had a job to do as well, and they played it well. So, the Rams, if you look at that Vikings game, yeah, they were blitzing. Sam Darnold was a statue back there. They took advantage of that. The Rams are going to bring it, man. The Rams got a lot going on. LA's got a lot going on. Our hearts and all of us are feeling for what's going on out there. But they're
Definitely.
on a mission because they got a city behind them that's hurting. And so they're going to come in motivated. And, all year, Nick Sirianni's been asked, like, hey, when you play Baltimore, when you play Steelers, how did you match their physicality? How did you match their energy? And it was like, no. They need to match ours.
Mm,
So a motivated team is going to come into that link, but it's a West Coast team who's used to playing in the sun, who's used to playing on nice cushy turf, who's not used to the elements, who's not used to the cold, and so who certainly is not used to that crowd at Lincoln Financial Field, which is the best home field advantage in the NFL.
absolutely. And that Rams game is going to be so fascinating because when you think about when the Eagles previously played them, Saquon Barkley played out of his mind.
Yeah, dog.
And he's been doing that all season. Let's call a spade on that. He's been easily the best running back in football. And I look at him as the X factor in this game. At this point, I'm fully secure in what the defense is going to give me. I know this defense is going to be stout. They're going to force turnovers. They're going to give the offense plenty of opportunity to to coast through this game, to a degree. But Saquon Barkley, what he brings to the table for the Philadelphia Eagles offense, in particular in this matchup against the Rams, and how things went last time, I personally have a hard time believing that, yes, even though the Rams are highly motivated, yes, they did what they did against the Vikings, but let's be honest about this, Erock. The Vikings offensive line isn't our offensive line. That Rams defensive line, although they're young, athletic, they're up and coming, they're talented, they just won't be able to match the size difference between what they have to face in guys like Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton. The Eagles are unique in that way that they have a combination of Pro Bowls and All Pros on that line, but they're also one of the biggest offensive lines in football. And I just have a hard time believing that for 4 quarters in the conditions that they're going to have to play in, I have a hard time believing they're going to be able to match what the Eagles are able to do in the trenches consistently.
And absolutely, that's why they're going to have to bring extra pressure. And listen, extra pressure has been the Achilles. It's part of the reason why, silently, although we're outward publicly, there's, for me at least, there was a little bit of a sigh of relief when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were eliminated because Todd Bowles.
Me too.
All right. We'll just keep that between us. Because Todd Bowles has our number, man, because he knows how to blitz this Eagles offense. Now, when I was watching the Rams game, man, I'm picking up on, and they were very diverse with their blitz packages. DT, DN stunts, corner blitzes, linebacker blitzes, faking the blitz, and then dropping back, and a guy that you don't expect is coming. And you can expect, listen, the Rams aren't dumb. They know they're going to have to formulate that same sort of game plan and know that, okay, in the past, if anything, Jalen Hurts has struggled with that kind of diverse array of pressures from all angles, right? But all the more reason why I'm sitting here saying the offensive game plan needs to design to get people open, and the ball needs to get out of his hands quickly. Because that blitz is coming. Now, part of me also feels like maybe the Rams in that emotional game, having to go through all the adversity that they had to go through just to get to the game, put on the game, and paint the field and get the players there, that they might have tipped their hand a little bit as far as what blitz packages they like. And believe me, right now, Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni are dissecting those blitz packages, and I hope they're coming up with beaters for all those different things, because I think they showed a lot on film.
Mhm.
And also, too, if the Rams think that Jalen's just going to sit there like a statue, like Sam Darnold, and get scared, no, man, that man will hurt you with his legs. So they better come correct. The Eagle, I don't want to sleep on the Rams. I agree with you in the fact that, like, listen, on paper, I don't see any way the Rams show me where they're better. And you're at the link, and you're in the weather, and the West Coast, a short week, and all that. Hey, listen, any given Sunday, you can win or lose the game. But I think the Eagles are a better team, and the Rams got a hell of a challenge, not only in the team, but the city that they're playing in, the stadium that they're playing in, and playing in front of those fans. Man, it's going to be a rough day for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Erock, I know I only got you for maybe like a few more minutes. I've got another question or two for you.
You got it. Fire away.
Yeah, once again, thank you for locking in with me. I really do appreciate it. Eagles fans, make sure you guys continue to smash that like button. You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm joined by my guy, Erock, the ultimate Eagles fan, ultimate Eagles content creator. So I gotta ask you about this Eagles defense, right? I want to dive a little deeper into it, right? Because this Eagles defense is very interesting. They're the youngest defense in football. They're led by one of the most seasoned football minds to ever do it in Vic Fangio. And we know where this defense was last season. And we see what they've emerged and evolved into this season. There's been so many guys who's played well above their billing, right? Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond, right? You brought back CJ, GJ. The Georgia boys are starting to really come into their own, right? Even a guy from Houston Christian and Jalen Hunt makes an impact, right? Nolan Smith has turned into a legit pass rusher. I want to get your thoughts on just how dominant this defense has been, and can this defense, I don't want to use the word carry, but is it fair to say that this defense is better than the 2022 defense and can be the reason why we win the Super Bowl?
To walk backwards, can they be the reason that they win the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Are they more dominant than the 2022 defense? Absolutely. You mentioned my guy Nolan Smith, who, again, talking about Jalen and Nick and that dog mentality, are getting 1% better. I mean, in the beginning of the season, preseason, we're like, if it wasn't for drafting Jalen Carter, this guy would have been, our Mike Mamula, our generation's Mike Mamula, where he was a combine wonder, and all of a sudden this dude can't rush the passer, or is an average rusher, can't see the field. To all of a sudden working, dude, he's working, and he's developing that pass rush and getting better. So I got to give a shout out to him. But when you take a look at this defense, you got the architect of all the defenses that we've tried to copy over the years. We've tried to get the disciples. Well, just get defense Jesus. You know what I mean? Just get the guy who invented it. And you got to give a lot of credit to the players that have stepped up: the Jalen Carters, the Jalen Hunts, the Josh Sweat on a bounce back year. Zach Bond, dude. Like Zach, if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, you got to be sick to your stomach. You mean to tell me that this entire time we've been sitting on an all-pro, and we had him play special teams and never paid him any mind whatsoever? When you take a look at the Howie and the draft picks that he made at the corners, Slay still getting it done. CJ, man, emotional leader of the team. That's why no part of this team, I promise you this, no part of this team needs to carry the other. When you hear Jalen Hurts talk about complimentary football, all right, that's like a buzzword, complimentary football. What even is that? It's the fact that this team, when you look at other playoffs teams, certain aspects of their team need to carry the other aspect, right? Their pass defense is good, their run defense is bad. Their passing game is good, their run's bad. They can run the ball, they really can't pass the ball. Oh, it's Josh Allen with really no weapons. He's got it. That's not this Philadelphia Eagles team. It's such a well-rounded team as far as talent across all phases of the game. that I don't think the defense needs to carry anybody. I just think the defense needs to be the defense. And the run game and Saquon needs to be run game and Saquon. And Jalen Hurts needs to be Jalen Hurts. And AJ and Smitty, the best duo receivers in the NFL. You want to throw Goddard in there, the best trio of passing weapons in the NFL. Everybody just needs to do their effing job. That's it. That's all it is. And it's that simple. That will lead us to a Super Bowl.
Erock, thank you so much for spending time with me this afternoon, my man. You're one of the busiest guys in the city when it comes to curating these fan experiences. For Eagles fans, and again, you've done so much work around the city, working with the Philadelphia Eagles directly. CBS 3, Fox 29, Mitchell and Ness. I mean, you're literally one of the faces of the city in this sports market, my friend. So please, where are you going to be on game day? Please promote anything you got going on. Tell the people where they can find you, how they can support you, how they can interact and immerse themselves in these fan experiences that you curate.
Yeah, and listen, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that, and thank you for reminding me. So this Saturday, you all know I'm a big Mitchell and Ness fan. I'm a big Kelly Green fan, and I spend way too much money in that store. But a lot of the times, especially during these playoffs, a lot of people are flying in, right? They don't know where to go and they don't know where to meet up. So last Saturday we had a playoff pep rally at Live Casino. 120 people showed up. We had an absolute ball. This Saturday at Mitchell and Ness, I'll be there from 12 to 3. And just hanging out, man. Just helping people. It's going to be a cold one, so they got all the winter jackets. You know what I mean? I got a lot of people flying in from Florida. I got a lot of people flying in from Texas, California. They don't have winter clothes, so you know what I mean. We're going to be there, get the fit right, the game day fit right. And then Saturday night, it's on my Instagram, Erock_Eagles. I'm hosting a cruise on the Spirit of Philadelphia right there. I'm DJing it. My buddies over at I haven't even announced this yet, so you got the exclusive on this. My buddies over at Noggin Boss, who make those giant ass hats that like Gilly wears, right?
Oh yeah.
They're not cheap either, man. They're over $100 a pop. So Noggin Boss is sending me a bunch of those big hats. We're gonna have a Gilly the Kid dance off to blow the whistle. And the top 3 get themselves a Noggin Boss hat, just like Gilly, right? So we're gonna have a lot of fun on that boat. Bunch of Eagles fans. At that point, we'll know kind of whether or not we're going to Detroit or going to Washington. We're gonna celebrate either way. And then on Sunday, Sunday's tough, man. I'm just bouncing around. I'm tailgate hopping. I get a lot of questions like, where are you going to be? I don't know where I'm going to be 5 minutes from when I get there. So I bounce around a lot. I got tickets to the Smooth Tailgate at Xfinity Live. My friends over at Philly Sports Trips are hosting an awesome tailgate to give back to the Eagles Autism Foundation, which I'm heavily involved with.
Awesome.
Over there in Jet Row Lot, so you can get tickets to that one as well. My boys over at 4th and John and G2. So like anybody traveling into the city and doesn't really know the game day experience, my recommendation is always just walk around, man, soak it in, take a couple laps, tailgates all over the place. If you're wearing green, hey, people will be chucking you beers, have fun, eat some food, soak in the entire game day experience, because there is really no place that I'd rather be than down in the parking lots and at Lincoln Financial Field on game day.
Erock, there's no place like home, my friend.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm super grateful that you were able to take the time on my guy.
You got it, bud.
Congratulations to you and all your success, everything that you've been able to bring to the fan base, everything that you've been able to bring to the city and give back to the people. We're grateful for it, and trust and believe.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what I'm saying. And I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate the fact that like you get it, like you
definitely
specifically,
born and raised, man.
You get it.
Yes.
It. So I appreciate
my DNA.
That.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Erock, my friend, thank you. You take care. If possible, I would love to bring you on this channel again whenever you're free, my man. We have an open door policy here. Anything you want to promote at any point, just let me know, or I'll tap in with you. Whatever happens first, but just know you have a home here, Chalk Out of Sports, my friend. You take care, all right?
All right, take care. Go Birds.
All right, go Birds, man. Shout out to Erock. That was a good one, you guys. That was a good one. Shout out to Erock, man. Erock is This is my first time actually talking to him, by the way, right? We text back and forth to try to set this up. And what's so dope about Erock is I hit him up, I want to say a couple days ago, and he got back to me right away. Right away. It wasn't he was just so cool about it. You know what I mean? He was like, "Oh hell yeah, bro! Let's do Thursday at this time. If you can do it, and just let me know beforehand, and we're good." Like he was just so down to earth about it, man. He was just so dope about it. Made himself available to me rather quickly. It's a lot of people out here that look, they're busy and they may not get back to you right away. I reached out to him on short notice, and he fit me into his busy schedule, man. So I'm really grateful to Erock, and I'm also grateful to what he brings to the table, what he brings to the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. So once again, shout out to Erock, shout out to everything he does and how he pours into the fan base, man. I really do appreciate him. And I appreciate you guys as well for making Erock welcome on this platform here at Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game